a lot of play.
Yeah, you cannot, mess up at all. You have to really be focused on it.
So here we go to Ari. He is, as you can tell, he is in the Storm mode. He is just one with the Eye of the Storm. I'm Gavin Verhey with Sam Stoddard here in round 5 of the Indianapolis Legacy Open for StarCityGames.com. On your right, Ari Lax, the ad nauseum Storm, one of the mini masters of the archetype, tons of experience with it. On your left, Mike Hawthorne battling with a take on New Horizons featuring Snapcaster Mage. Snapcaster is certainly one of the big new exciting cards to come out, and for Legacy, man.
Yeah, I've seen it everywhere. I've seen it in decks like this. I've seen it in mono blue. I've seen it in blue-white control. I've seen it in blue-black. Everyone is going out of their way to really focus on playing this card. And it looks like Ari's in the play, which seems like a huge advantage for him.
It's turn 1 Duress. Sees a Daze, a Swords of Plowshares, 2 Forces, a Brainstorm, and something else at the back I can't quite make out. So one of the disadvantages for Ari Lax is everyone knows he's playing Storm, so you can keep those kind of counter-heavy hands.
If Ari ever plays a Forest, their opponent is just going to have no chance.
Discards Force. Well, I remember when we were testing for Providence, or talking for Providence, he was like, yeah, I might just play green-white, like green-white hate bears. Looks like Ari drew LED there. His hand is pretty juiced. I see LED, Grim Tutor, a couple rituals maybe.
Brainstorm,
sure. Second land for Mike Hawthorne there. Well, yeah, Snapcaster Mage is a big one. Is that Explosives for 0 to stop any LEDs? What do you think is better, Dark Confidant or Snapcaster Mage? This is a big debate on Twitter earlier. It was like split 50-50.
I think I've still got to give it to Dark Confidant, but I mean that's partially just because Snapcaster Mage just came out. We don't really have experience with it.
Yeah.
It's definitely. I think it's probably the second best invitational card.
Yeah. We agreed those were number 1 and
just
number 2.
Just not even close. So, I think that it being that high already, it could very well overtake it. It's just going to depend on what people figure out later on and how they figure out how to abuse it. Like. I've seen a lot of Riptide Labs this weekend.
Yes.
People are really into returning that.
Yeah, might need some time. Could overtake it. Dark Confidant is still at the top of mind. Brad Nelson feels like Snapcaster Mage is already better, but that's a tall order. Hard to fill the Great One's shoes. Ari finishing up his Ponder there. And plays Verdant Catacombs. They're probably going to Duress.
Or maybe not Verdant Catacombs. He's thinking. And he goes.
Yeah, Verdant Catacombs. No Duress, though. Just passes. Wants to save it for his fundamental turn so he can make sure to clear the way. We thought those were number 1, number 2, and then we thought Ranger of Eos was probably number 3. I made an argument for Meddling Mage, but...
I've never been a huge Meddling Mage fan, but I think it's definitely...
Sorry, Chris.
Up there. Yeah, it was really good for a while, but I think the game has changed a bit.
Back when 2/2s were a thing, right?
Well, I think also when Meddling Mage was at its height, was a time when most decks were trying to resolve one fundamental spell. And Planeswalkers just took that out of the equation.
Right.
Every control deck has Jace, so it's like Meddling Mage, naming your combo kill, Jace. All right. So Duress is resolving. It looks like
Duress. Brainstorm was cast in response, so Mike's gonna try and hide some cards. But if this is Ari's turn, he's gonna go off. Mike has to be careful because he wants to keep counter magic, so he can make sure to fight back. Obviously, another Brainstorm would be one of the best cards he could have, but. Without Mental Misstep around, it's so much harder to deal with cards like Duress and Thoughtseize and all those 1-drops.
Do we see what Ari drew? Because it looks like he might have another Duress in his hand, too.
Well, the Ponder he kept... The Ponder was Duress, Swamp.
Okay.
So, I think he probably has a second Duress. All right, this is the hand he sees. Daze, Swords, Tundra, I think a blue card, can't quite make out what it is, and then a green card at the end. Oh, Snapcaster Mage I think is at the end.
Okay.
But... not sure what the second to the right card is. Alright, takes the Daze. Taps a blue, goes for a Brainstorm. And just in case, Storm count is 3, I believe. No, it's 2, sorry. Storm count is 2. If it matters. He's probably
it's 3 because his opponent cast a Brainstorm.
Oh, he cast Brainstorm too. Yeah. Probably not going to go off this turn, but you never know. If he does, the coast is clear. Looks like he's going to put Dark Ritual, Cabal Ritual? Is the what he has in front of his head? Duress Preordain. Okay, there we go. Puts back 2 enablers like that. And now it's time to figure out if he's going to go off this turn or ship the turn. Oh, yeah. That's 3. Storm count is 3. All right.
That is not what you just want to hear a storm opponent talking about.
I mean, my favorite is to like bluff the storm count 3, or bluff the storm count. But yeah, here we go. Crack a land, and things are about to get a little messy for Mike Hawthorne. Ari showing he knows just the right time to go off. Some players would be like, should I go off now? Should I not? But Ari's like, yeah, we're just gonna go for it. Take him down. All right, Dark Ritual, 3 black mana in his mana pool, storm count 4. Cabal Ritual, I believe he has Threshold, or he might be 1 short. I think if he was short, he would have used LED creatively. Not sure exactly where he is, but I think if that Cabal Ritual was enhanced, as Magic Online would say, he would have 3 black mana in his pool, and the storm count would be 6 or 7. Storm count would be 7. Cracks LED has 6 mana, so 6 mana in his pool, 7 spells cast. Enough to go for ad nauseum. Have you ever played a deck like this, Sam? Storm combo deck?
I have played this deck, and I played a lot online where it's very easy to keep track of your mana. I have a real hard time playing these in person because you start after you've gotten like your 7th or 8th or 9th mana change, like you have to start going through it, and I'm just like, ugh. I think I have black 3. Let me double check.
I remember watching Gabe Carlton Barnes play this deck once in Seattle, and he took basic lands and cut out only the bottom part, so he just had the mana, and then he just like put them out as like counters for how much mana was in his mana pool. That was kind of neat.
I think it's a really good idea. I've lost a tournament with Heartbeat, which is a similar deck, because my opponent was disputing how much mana I had in my mana pool, and there was really no way to resolve it, and they ended up just going off in his favor, which is kind of a coin flip at that point. And
all right, so Ari's taking 6, 7, 8. Wow,
ooh.
3 dangerous flips. Right, there's an LED. All right, so Ari's flips have been Infernal Tutor, Tendrils, Infernal Tutor, LED, Thoughtseize now. So just keeps going. You can usually go until you have either 4 or 5 life left, depending on how many Tendrils or ad nauseams you have in your deck, or left in your deck. You don't want to accidentally kill yourself. So Ari's just double checking Storm. I do kind of wish Magic Online kept track of the Storm count. I have played it online before, and obviously you can keep track yourself, but it'd be so much easier if it was just like, oh,
yeah, I agree.
Storm. On the flip side, you don't want there to always be a Storm counter, so you'd have to be able to turn it on and off.
Tendrils.
Yeah, and that's Tendrils. Handshake game 1.
The awkward game 1 handshake.
I never know what to do. It's like, yeah, I mean, I'll shake your hand.
You have to, right?
Yeah.
You can't just be like, just give them the weird look of like, what are you doing?
Every time I just half hope, did I just forget about game 1? Or like maybe I think that's match. Once that did happen, I shook the hand. The guy was like, all right, good match. He grabbed the slip, went to sign it, and then he was like, wait a second, that was when game 1, wasn't it? And I wasn't sure if it was the greatest fake out ever, or if, he just legitimately forgot the first game was played.
I mean, it's pretty high EV play.
on the fake out territory. So looking at Ari Lax's sideboard here, let's see what he's going to bring in. He's got Dark Confidant, Chain of Vapor, Rebuild, Thoughtseize, Ad Nauseam, Echoing Truth, and Tendrils of Agony.
All right, so I don't know if this is probably. I'm trying to think if this is a matchup where you want to bring in Dark Confidant. Usually, probably not. Usually want to bring the thing against discard, just to sort of catch back up. I can't imagine Chain of Vapor being particularly good. He'll probably bring in his other Thoughtseizes, but I don't think he has a whole lot to bring in for this match.
Yeah, I think just Thoughtseize. Maybe if he thinks he needs the Echoing Truth for some reason, but I know Ari usually just doesn't play scared.
Right. I mean, because his opponent's playing a deck that easily has access to, Gaddock Teague. It's got access to
the Storm Canonist.
Yeah, Canonist. Lots of cards. Meddling Mage even. So he has to be aware that within those colors there are a million cards his opponent could bring in, and if he can, bring in one card or something just to tutor for in case his opponent does happen to play, say, a Meddling Mage on Tendrils. That's maybe not be a horrible decision, just as to hedge your bets. But
do you think he'd want Dark Confidant here, or is that mainly for the more attrition-based?
Usually, it's for the more attrition-based matchups, like the bug decks.
Yeah.
I don't know how good it is in this situation. I mean, it might be fine. I'm just not sure what you can afford to take out for it.
All right. Well, looking at the Mike's deck, he certainly has some hate cards. He's got 2 Meddling Mages, which can come in, and he's got 2 Croson Grips, which maybe are okay. Other than that, that's about it.
I don't think the Croson Grips are particularly good.
I mean, if he has like super dead cards, Croson Grip. Tormod's Crypt stops stops ill-gotten gains.
Like I think maybe he brings in the Bajuko Bog, just so he can mise it with Knight of the Reliquary if that happens to come up. Blue Elemental Blast. Okay, no, that's not gonna bring in.
Yeah.
If Ari was playing the the Past in Flames version,
yeah,
that might be good.
Then that'd be a different story.
I mean, I guess he doesn't know whether or not he is technically playing.
That's
Past
true.
in Flames.
And with Past in Flames on everyone's mind, it's easy to be like, okay, well, Storm, well, it's Resurgence. Obviously, there's Past in Flames. Now, I talked to Ari earlier. He's like, yeah, Past in Flames. Like, I'm just gonna play what I know how to play.
Right.
He just actually doesn't think the card is that good. He feels like replaying Lion's Eye Diamond is so huge. But I mean, so I see Mike bringing those 2 Meddling Mages, maybe like a Bajuka Bog, Tormod's Crypt, Croson Grip if he has dead cards. What is he? Swords of Plowshares comes out.
Yeah, get those. So he has at least 4 slots right there.
He could bring in the blue elementalist because they pitched a Force of Will. He can't pitch them to Force of Will, which is like more than Swords of Plowshares is gonna do. So, like blue elemental blast pitches to Force. That is a thing.
Like he really just does not have enough cards to bring into this matchup. Like explosives, you know, like he played in a situation like that where you can play explosives, it can do something, but you know your opponent after it's on the board, your opponent just has to play around it. Like the only thing is now they can't play 2 LEDs, but they still got to use 1 LED all they want to.
Explosives is probably like not the greatest. I mean, swords definitely comes out unless he's worried about Confidant, which I don't think he is.
And then he also has those Elspeths are not going to be very good. Like they're not, I guess, horrible because they do win the game, but you know he just has a lot. Wait, is that 1 Elspeth?
1 Elspeth.
1 Elspeth. Okay, so he has at least 4 cards that need to come out, 2 that are mediocre, and he only really has 2 he wants to bring in.
Yeah, I mean, he only really wants to see Meddling Mages. So maybe he'll bring in another land, so it doesn't get mana screwed. Blue Metal Blast, once again, does pitch the Force of Will.
Yeah,
so.
and Ari's playing a very basic heavy version of this deck.
Plus, there's no, go ahead, sorry.
Right, so it's like, you know, he could have brought in Crucible Worlds and tried to wasteland him out. You know, like, as there are some, the multicolor Storm decks you can all the time just beat with Wasteland.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And his deck, you know, I've watched him earlier, and he's just almost entirely getting basics. You know, he is dedicated out not losing to Wasteland.
Yeah, I mean, he only has 2 Underground Seas. I've talked to Ari about this before, and he's like, why would I want to get my lands destroyed? It almost never matters, and people just open themselves up all the time. And I actually feel that way about a lot of Legacy players. Their mana bases are just so easy to beat with the Wasteland, where if you just play a couple more basics, your mana's not that very much worse. It still works on almost all your games, and you just don't get Wastelanded sometimes.
Right. And it's a kind of a big rift in the community of there are people who feel like you need to really mitigate the Wasteland damage, and there are people who just believe that if you're playing basic lands, you're doing something wrong. Yeah.
Well, Ari's certainly taken the basic land route. Of course, with the whole 5 basic lands as you play in Storm, still over double the amount of Underground Seas he's playing. So, yeah, I mean, other than that, Ari's list looks pretty stock. If you're a Storm player at home wondering what it looks like, I'll be happy to relay it to you. Just because, you're trying to make your way in the new Legacy world. Doesn't look that different from his normal list. 4 Dark Ritual, 4 Cabal Ritual, 4 Lion's Eye Diamond, 4 Lotus Petal, 4 Ponder, 4 Preordain, 4 Brainstorm, 4 Duress, 2 Thoughtseize, 4 Infernal Tutor, 2 Grim Tutor, 1 Ad Nauseam, 1 Ill-Gotten Gains, a Tendrils of Agony, 2 Underground Sea, 3 Island, 2 Swamps, 4 Misty Rainforest, 4 Polluted Delta, 2 Verdant Catacombs, sideboard, 4 Dark Confidant, 3 Chain of Vapor, 2 Rebuild, 2 Thoughtseize, 1 Ad Nauseam, 1 Echoing Truth, 2 Tendrils of Agony, and an LOL amount of creatures.
Yeah, and so this really is not a whole lot different than the Storm decks that were getting played just a few months ago.
I think Ari said it was 74 of his 75. So turn 1, land from Mike Hawthorne, then Ari cracks Misty Rainforest, presents the is this okay look, doesn't get stifled, and gets an island. So we'll see.
And he appears to have just put it straight into play tap, so he's probably casting Ponder or Preordain here.
Yeah, imagine just run through those cantrips. Seen them do such good work in Modern. Now they're going to work.
Oh, he did not actually play the Ponder. He was going too fast.
All right. Well,
so we'll
see if a judge is called. If he said ponder and picked up 3 cards, I think he should
Right.
just be allowed to play the ponder, right? I mean, he's obviously
Right. If he like played the land, sacked it, said ponder, and then
right.
did it, but I mean that's
I mean, you do have to give a warning potentially for advantage, just because if he does that every time, he could just keep the ponder if an opponent doesn't notice.
Right.
But no reason to give him a game loss for looking at extra cards or something like that, or not that big game loss anyway. But all right, 2 mana, down comes Tarmogoyf,
so Mike's gonna actually have a clock this game.
and Ari quickly cracks his land. And finds a swamp this time. Once again, like we said, Ari fetching, just basics.
He is he's looking out for those wastelands. It's like Thoughtseize.
Alright.
So Tarmogoyf is still a 2/3.
Let's see what's in Mike's hand. Land, Snapcaster Mage, Stifle, Knight of the Reliquary, Force of Will. Now I imagine Mike would have stifled if he had that on turn 1.
You would think. I mean, well, you never know. You would think so. Like that was probably the correct play.
Some players certainly get greedy and think that you can stifle the tendrils, but that never works.
No,
You just get
it's-
thought seized or duressed. Or...
Pretty hard. It's like Force of Will.
Yep. Ari
So-
pitches Force.
Goyf should be up to 3/4.
Sorcery, instant land.
Oh, he's thinking. The Snapcaster?
Interesting. Choosing Snapcaster Mage.
Huh.
Now, for those of you wondering, Snapcaster Mage cannot let you recast Force of Will alternatively.
Right.
You can still pay the 5 if you want to, if you're in that situation in the game. But you can't pitch a card from your hand to do it. And then Ari casts Ponder, this time making sure to actually cast the Ponder. Don't want to do that one too many times.
Yeah, probably can only get away with that once or twice.
Yeah. You tried that one too many times.
People are going to think something's up. He's really pondering this one.
Weak and weary as it was once upon Midnight Dreary. So he's going to do. Looks like he's going to keep them. He's deliberating about it for a while, playing 3-card Monty with those cards, figuring out the right order to put them in.
You notice how he's very careful to keep his hands
hands.
separate. I've seen a lot of people who try to like almost put them in one hand together, and that's a real risky.
Looks like the pile's a Brainstorm, Grim Tutor, Dark Ritual. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
That's not a bad pile.
No, it seems pretty good. Yeah, I can see why I kept that.
Looks like he's got 2 Cabal Rituals in his hand, maybe.
Yeah, I've seen players. Tons of my friends have just gotten game losses. You bring them too close, and
Seagate Oracle did that a lot.
Sure.
People pick up both the cards from their hand, try to put one on the.
Whoops.
Yeah, doesn't work.
No. Forbidden Alchemy, like all kinds of cards you got to be careful with. Or just like preordain too. Like pick up 2 cards, put them close to their hand, and it's like better keep an eye out like a hawk.
Okay, so it looks like his opponent got in for 3. Ari's on a 13. Damage actually is actually important in these matchups too. A lot of Ari's like his Grim Tutor does deal damage to him. Certainly, Ad Nauseam above 10 life is much better than Ad Nauseam below 10 life. It is pretty easy to fizzle on Ad Nauseam if he has to actually try and cast it. Even at this point, it gets much more dangerous.
It's actually really interesting because most combo decks are non-interactive like that. They're like, I can go down to 1 life, doesn't matter, I'll still combo out and kill you. Like Splinter Twin, for example. But Ad Nauseam is a rare variety where you actually use your life total as a resource. Or, like the Necro decks of old, too, same kind of thing, where like, I'm going to use my life total as a resource.
Yeah, he just is, not one of the decks that can afford to get hit every turn.
All right, the Knight of the Reliquary comes down for Mike Hawthorne.
And this is where if he brought in Bajuka Bog, he could really get some advantage.
There's Duress. Yeah, you could, but if Ari goes the long hand way with Ill-Gotten Gains, Bajuka Bog shuts that off pretty nicely. And then Ari goes for Brainstorm. Although I'm sure Ari's well aware of that interaction. I know that he doesn't use Ill-Gotten Gains that often.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Well, it's also the Cabal Rituals.
yeah, also shuts off Cabal Rituals, which is certainly very relevant. Like that mana boost off Cabal Ritual when it's just 1, not as exciting.
Though now that Mike is typed out, I don't know if Ari can go off this turn, but he's pretty close.
See, so his hand looks like...
It's definitely LED, a Grim Tutor, some rituals. Oh, no, there's a Dark Ritual, so I think that he actually just goes off this turn.
All right.
Cabal for 5, another Cabal for 5, so...
All right, Cabal Ritual. All right, it's all like clockwork. All right, you just watch. He's just done this 1,000 times. Just slams those rituals down, counts up Storm, shows his opponent. He all knows it in his head, just showing it off because he has to show it. Grim Tutor, Infernal Tutor, and this is doing the chain. Grim Tutor, Infernal, and Tendrils. That is Asks Ari. Opponent is going to ask for the prerequisite Storm count check, and that's it.
All right.
Ari Lax takes it down. Once again, just like clockwork, Ari Lax in a Storm deck yet to drop a game today, 8-0, 4-0.
So let me ask you something. What do you think about Lion's Eye Diamond?
Is
Is this a card that is long for this world?
on potentially as a banning?